Today is a really big day. Penny's puppies are actually transitioning to the older puppy nursery. And Penny, I think she's just very happy. She's tolerating being in here today just because I'm in here and she loves snuggles. But Penny's puppies, they're just ready. We start to notice these things when moms are standing up or just need a little more coercion to come in here and nurse the babies. And it's because a lot of things change. The puppies get a little more, I don't want to use aggressive, but physical when it comes to nursing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I wanted to tell you guys about the spaces that they're moving from. So we designed these nurseries really specifically for a couple of things in mind for our puppies and our moms. The first one is making sure that all these sweet babies have good traction using these DuraWelt mats. So when they're nursing or starting to army crawl and run around, they need that traction underneath them to get some good footing under them. And I'll show you why. So it's super important for their joints to have good impact when they're pushing down on the solid surface of the floor. So it's one thing for us to make sure that all of our moms have good joints with OFA and pin hip. So those are really complicated words, but it's making sure that they've got healthy joints using like a national standard. But the puppies also have environmental causes that they need to grow up with to have good, healthy joints too. And traction is one of those things. And it could be the physical therapist in me, but I love learning about joints. And so the hip joint has a socket and then a ball that goes into it. And if they don't have good traction and good kind of formation into this pressure, the joint becomes shallow and the joint can actually pop out really easily. So it's important for us to make sure that every time that they're walking and playing and ending up making Penny and other moms a jungle gym, that they have that good solid formation so that way they can have healthy joints going into the future. Hey, Miss Orange, what are you doing? I had picked her up and she's like, why did you put me down? You should pick me up again. So these DuraWelt mats are really important. Another thing that we love and that is really important is these pig rails. So we get this question a lot. Why do you guys have these things in here? What's the purpose of them? Well, it is important because Penny's a pretty small mom, but we have moms that are bigger that can lean against this wall, and then puppies going underneath them wouldn't be able to have an air pocket. And so that means that they could suffocate. It's never happened with us, thank goodness, but it has happened with other breeders, and I've heard about those stories. So we want to make sure that we can prevent any type of distress or any type of accidents that could be fatal. That would be terrible. And so when they lean against that wall, puppies are doing all kinds of things. I mean, Penny here is keeping up with 7 puppies. That's a lot of puppies to keep up with. And so she might not see if one comes behind her to come nurse. Oh my goodness, Mr. Red, you are so sweet over here. I just got to pick you up. Mr. Red is our tiniest little guy in this group, and that face is just so cute. Look at how cute that is. Another really important thing is what we're working on with Penny. So we have this beautiful half wall here that is like the mom's favorite thing. So not only are these spaces important for the moms, they're important for the puppies. But moms, they need like a mom break every now and then. So letting them have this half wall that the puppies can't jump over is very helpful. So on the other side, we have Penny's dog bed. She's one of our moms that likes to bring her own dog bed with her. And that way, when she wants to go over there and just relax and hang out, she can do that, but still be in here and kind of like almost mother henning the puppies. Like she can like see if something is going on. She can make sure that if anybody is whining, that she can come nurse them if it's time. But then she also gets to have a break, which is really enjoyable. And then when they're ready to go past that, so I'd say they start going over there anywhere between 1.5 and 2 weeks. But on 2.5 to 3 weeks, they usually start to come out and wanting to spend more and more time with us, which is so enjoyable. Honey loves when the moms want to come play with them. And I think they secretly like to come out too because Bella and Honey have whitefish kibble. And here I feed them puppy kibble for the extra calories. And so I think they like a little bit of variety. So they'll come out there and I always have that dog bowl filled up with food and then clean water. But that way they can have just a little bit of variety, and that I think they really enjoy that. And the last part that this nursery is designed for is just to keep it as warm and cozy as possible. So these guys are much bigger now, but when they started out, they're only about 5 to 6 ounces, and they they're smaller than Raleigh's puppies. Raleigh is right next door, and she just had her babies, but they're pretty big. I think they're around 8 ounces, and they were just born. But these guys, sometimes my small ones need a little heating pad. And so I'll put a heating pad in one of the corners, and they just love to go and snuggle on it and just relax and just be together. But that way we have these outlets in here. I can put the heating pad down, but I actually don't want heating pad for the entire area because mom could get overheated and they would get dehydrated. So it's nice to have the heat in one area. So if the puppies need it, they can go to it and snuggle. But if mom wants that coldness, she can have her own space. And then when the puppies are over with her, they're nice and warm because they're all huddled up beside each other. Right, little babies? But it's so exciting that these guys are going to be heading to the big puppy nursery, and that's when you're actually going to see that they're actual little puppies. They're going to be running and playing and eating kibble, and before you know it, it's going to be 8 weeks, and it'll be time for them to head to their forever homes. And I know that Penny is excited to be weaning these guys because I can feel their teeth. They are sharp, and to be nursing 7 of them, that has got to hurt. As a mom that nursed 2 babies, I know what she's going through. And I got their area all set up with their bed, their Little Will's potty tray, and their next source of food, some goat's milk with just a little bit of kibble. It's so fun to see if they come over to it right off the bat or if it takes them a little while to understand what's in the bowl. Sometimes I have to dip their little mouths in there to show them what it is, but not these guys. These guys love it. Their first few days of dog food is really liquidy, almost like a soup, more goat's milk than ground up kibble. But it's a good time for the puppies' weights to even out since they have access to this food all the time, 24/7. There's no wrestling involved. And in just 3 to 4 weeks, they'll go to regular hard kibble. The transition happens so fast. But I also like putting a dog bed in here to make sure they have a snuggly place to cuddle up to. And I set up their area with 4 Little Will's potty trays. And it might look crowded to you guys, but I want them to have as many pees and poops on the trays as possible. This sets them up to be successful potty trainers. And when they wake up, they walk a couple of feet and then they go to the bathroom. So having the trays right beside their bedtime area is super helpful. And as the weeks progress, I can remove potty trays and get them down to just 1 or 2 trays before they go home. Because mom isn't cleaning up their waste anymore. I am. And I can get the puppies in their nursery down to just 1 to 2 trays by the time that 8 weeks comes. Because they want to keep their area nice and clean. So when they come out to do their training and their playtime, we have all of our potty trays kind of like spread out when they're starting out. Because I want them to be able to run by and to see the potty tray and go, oh, I need to go. And so they'll go potty on there. But by the time they're 8 weeks old, they consider this whole entire space their den, and they will go over to the potty trays and use the bathroom there, which is so cool because it really helps transition home with crate training because that becomes their den and they want to keep it clean. So it just teaches them and that their families that they have to grow with their puppy. So that way they're keeping every area that they get introduced to clean. You guys are doing such a good job playing. And so what's really cool is that these guys are actually 2 litters of puppies. They love playing together. You can see them wrestling and having such a good time. But they have to be introduced to that. So Penny's puppies, they're going to be the new ones of the group. And so probably in about 3 or 4 days after they've gotten used to being in here, I'll introduce them to these guys. And it's amazing to see how much the older puppies can teach the younger puppies and how much fun they have together. But it will be a supervised visit because you have to make sure that the older puppies, as sweet as they are, they can roughhouse. We know that they can wrestle and play and have a good time. Like Miss Tan here, she's biting on Miss Orange. But we want to make sure that they don't do that to the smaller puppies and just get a little carried away. So most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, we have never had any issues where we couldn't let them play with each other. But it's just something that you have to watch and make sure that it goes okay. Right, guys? You guys are sweet. But another part of socialization is Honey. She does such a good job playing with the puppies and showing them all of her toys. She's about 55 pounds, so she is a great introduction to playing with larger puppies. So they get used to roughhousing with each other, but they also get used to playing and running around with a big dog. So that way it'll help them when they go home, whoever is waiting for them to be their furry little four-legged friend. What are you guys doing up there? But we also need big spaces because we do a lot of training in here. So the first thing that we start off with is a wobble board. That happens at 4 weeks old. And that is what Penny's puppies are gonna do first. But then we do a coolaroo, and that is kind of like their first step into coming off of an elevated surface. And then we get to work on the tunnel, and the tunnel teaches them to go through scary spaces, like something that's dark and crinkly. It makes a lot of noise, and so it just teaches them that they can be brave and going through those spaces. And then the last thing we work on is the stairs. And so we definitely don't have those inside, so we need to work on being able to come up and come down the stairs. And that is really helpful for the puppies when they go home, that their owners don't have to pick them up and take them up and down the stairs. They're brave enough to do it right off the bat. So I'm gonna put these guys back into their nursery for some food and get out Penny's puppies for that wobble board training. If you wanna see me do wobble board training, you should check this video out here because it is really cool to watch them experience their first training in the big nursery.